Hi, and welcome to the Resilient Kid. And this is Saturday, and it's Parents Corner. We're here with Virginia Hills Nutrition again. Virginia came into the on Thursday and chatted through foods to help kids beat, or keep their anxiety at bay. And today we thought it'd be really good to invite her back because, well, I don't know about you guys, but this is a really stressful time as a parent. Never before have we had to full-time homeschool unless it's choice, juggle work, juggle, everything else. Also keep well, and they're not socializing. So, I'd say we're under quite a lot of stress. So Virginia is here to help us, just give us tips as well. So good morning. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Ashley. Great to be here. I'm well, thanks. Pleased it's Saturday and got through another week of homeschooling. It's half term. It is half term. I suppose we've got to half term. So I've got an 8 and 10-year-old as well. So I know what it's like.
Brilliant. So just tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I'm a nutritionist and I specialise in gut health, mainly for women and their families, usually helping people with unsolved digestive issues. So things like icky tummy, so bloating, cramping, constipation, diarrhea, and what we can do to alleviate those. And then sometimes the sort of knock-on effect of those, which can lead to things like IBS or eczema or migraines. But I also specialise in looking at ladies' hormones, and one of those hormones is cortisol, which is the main hormone that's released when you're stressed or anxious, and how that can affect your body and the systems within your body. And then looking mainly at food and how we can change those reactions and sometimes the negative effects that we're getting by eating food and looking at the nutrients that we're taking in. So I practice online and seeing clients online, whether I'm based down in Kent, but seeing clients locally online, but also throughout the UK and abroad as well at the moment.
Fabulous. And I think it's really interesting that you and I was working out yesterday, have probably known each other about 10 years. Our boys were very small when we first met. And they're both coming up to 11 or just 11 now. So, but it's quite funny because as I'm talking to you in this role that you have, I'm starting to look at my, the way that I eat and the way that certain foods might spike the roller coaster that we were talking about with kids on Thursday. And one of the things that I noticed is, and it's quite infamous in my family, that I get hangry. Like I can feel myself getting snappy with people if I've not eaten properly. And I used to think that it was because I hadn't eaten. And then what I would do is get something sugary to give me that burst because like I could feel myself hungry. And now I know that actually that sugary thing is what makes me worse. And I am really I'm not gonna talk about your tips. I want you to talk about them. But it's reading through your tips has really made me think about my own keeping myself plateaued through the day and keeping myself energized enough without kind of getting busy, whether it's running around after the kids or doing work things or, washing, just general day-to-day stuff, running around doing all that and then forgetting to eat and then reaching for something sugary, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm totally familiar with that. There have been years gone by and still days now where I still do it, where I have left eating far too long. And then you get that real shaky dip in energy feeling when you're just like, I just need to eat something. And then we all just grab the nearest thing, which is either usually a biscuit or in my case, a bag of crisps. That's my real weakness because I want the salt, which actually is also a stress response. But you're absolutely right. And particularly at the moment, we're spending a lot of time thinking about our families and making sure they've got food to eat and what they need and are they on the right Zoom class or whatever. And we forget to feed ourselves. And we actually just need to include ourselves in that process. and make sure that you're having breakfast. Well, some people I know, some ladies like to eat later, but whatever that meal is, you need to just be incorporating, making sure that you're having a certain amount of protein and a certain amount of fat at each meal. And that will keep you going until the next meal. And if you do need to snack, thinking about the snacks that aren't the biscuit or the crisps, but actually having handy snacks that are nourishing and comforting to you. So great ones that I like are just a handful of nuts and seeds. So almonds and walnuts, or if you've got seeds and unsalted nuts, really. So just buying yourself bags of, you can get them at the supermarket, you can get them online, but unsalted, either mixed nuts, so almonds, walnuts, Brazil nuts, pecans, or mix them in with some seeds, so pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, not so good as to grab on, but great to add to things. But those nuts and seeds have got vitamin E in them and fats and protein in them that will give you that sustained snack. And if you're out and about, we're not out so much, but when you're going out for a walk, you can put them in a little Tupperware and take them with you. And you just need a couple of handfuls, and that will keep you going rather than reaching for the biscuit tin. And if you want that sweetness, if it's afternoon, allow yourself 2 or 3 squares of some really dark, good chocolate, really good quality dark chocolate. So I like Green and Blacks or Divine, and they have both of those have great flavors. There's countless others, Montezuma, but they've got great flavors. They've got ginger in them, they've got mint in them, you name it, you can find it, but really good dark chocolate. Some people find the taste a bit bitter to begin with, and I will admit I was like that, but once you get used to it, actually it's got that really good taste, and it gives you the sort of sugar that you need, but it's much refined. And also the dark chocolate's got what we call polyphenols in them, so they're basically just plant chemicals which got loads of nutrients in them, and it gives you that sustained energy. So combining the dark chocolate and the nuts together, top snack.
If you're not the kind of person that, if nuts are not your thing, say nuts and seeds are not your thing, could you use like a nut butter on an oat cake, things like that? Would that give you the same kind of nutritional value as grabbing a few of those nuts?
Yeah, I would say so. Yes, you're not going to have as much as a handful of nuts in the nut butter, but absolutely also great snack, because you are combining the protein and the fat from the nuts, but also with the sustaining carbohydrates in the oat cakes. But if you're going for nut butters, my tips would be either almond or hazelnut butter. And in terms of brands, there's lots out there, but I quite like the pippa nut ones because they're actually really easy and they're really tasty. Try and avoid the peanut butter because that tends to be a little bit more inflammatory. So not so great for for anyone who's got skin problems or dry skin or whatever. It's just going to irritate it. But yes, nut butter on an oat cake or a slice of wholemeal toast or some rye bread. So any of those kind of things that will give you that sustained energy and stop your energy spiking, which would do if you grab for the crisps or the chocolate biscuit or the little slice of cake. Don't get me wrong, I love cake too. There's a place for cake as well.
And I think that's the important thing, is it's not having a treat, but it's about choosing wisely, like choosing when you're going to have that treat. And also if it is that because I know myself, the chat about, you're talking about cortisol, having that in our system, particularly if we are rushing from one thing to the next. And let's face it, before we came, it was, one of them have got to go on a Zoom call at such and such a time. And it's like, right, okay, let's get that sorted. And, emails flying in all the time. We've got our phone, we've given us notifications. And I don't think we realize how much that can cause our body. Well, our brains go in that fight and flight, but then our body produces, like you say, this cortisol, and we're left with like I always think it's like a bit of a hangover sometimes when you've left your food, you've not got enough energy to see you through, and you're constantly looking at all these reminders of things that you've got to do, and it causes a stress. And I think, simple things like that is so amazing for us to just be aware of, so that we can make those small steps. It's not about, throwing everything in your fridge in the bin, is it? It's about making small steps to make you feel better.
Absolutely. And I think exactly what you say. At the moment, there's that sort of what we don't realize is there's that underlying pervasive stress and anxiety, because we don't know what the future holds, and it's changing all the time. And so there is that cortisol response just rumbling along all the time and pushing out into our bodies and circulating around our systems. So even if you don't feel that you've had a particularly stressful day trying to juggle things, which is unlikely because we're all trying to do it at the moment, even if you don't, it's still there. And don't beat yourself up about, trying to do too much, because we all need, time to rest. And one thing I was going to just add is, another thing that we all tend to do is, if we haven't eaten, or we're feeling a little bit hungry but we don't have time, we tend to just grab another cup of tea or another cup of coffee. And actually what that is it's great, it gives you that warm feeling inside and it gives you that boost, but that again is spiking that cortisol response, because it's got whether it's tea or coffee, it's got caffeine in it, which is a stimulant. And that then stimulates a cortisol release from your body, so increasing the cortisol. So I think it's really important to treat yourself to a nice cup of coffee or tea, whatever your penchant is. Savor it, enjoy it, but try not to have too many in a day, because that's increasing that cortisol response, but also going to have a knock-on effect later on in the day, going to probably affect your sleep. If you're struggling with sleep, then having too many coffees or tea in a day or too late in the day will have an effect on that, because that cortisol is still rising in your body throughout the day, rather than, so I'm drawing a little graph with my hand, but it's peaking upwards like that, rather than dipping again down, which is what it naturally should do at the end of the day. So my tip is, rather than reaching for another tea or another coffee, is think about either a herbal tea, a chamomile or a peppermint, which are both great for relaxing and de-stressing the body a little bit. Or if you want something milky, go for a turmeric latte. So you can get just a blend already, the powder that you can buy from Pukka. Quite a lot of supermarkets have it. You can get it on Amazon too, or they've got a ginger chai version. So something milky that's giving you that comfort, but it's not having that cortisol effect. Or also a green tea. So green tea is great. Again, like the dark chocolate, got polyphenols in, which feed all of our healthy gut bacteria, and that's a whole nother question. But it's also got something called L-theanine in it, which is actually calming on the anxiety, and it's got a lower level of caffeine in it. But again, I would say don't then swap all your coffees and all your teas for green tea. So keep that in moderation, but another string to add to your bow to keep in your cupboard.
And I think as well, since I've become a little bit more aware of the impact that food and drinks can have, on our body and on our stress levels, I've started. So I love coffee, will drink, numerous during the day. And actually what I've started to do is tailor it back, just pair it right back, because I found that if I was tired, if I was, hungry or whatever, or I didn't have time, what I'd do is, instead of having just a coffee, I'd have a coffee with sugar in. And that's like double whammy for me, because I'm getting all the sugar in my system and the caffeine, an extra cup of caffeine. So I've started to drink. So I'll get up in the morning and I'll have a rooibos with honey and lemon in. So So I was born in South Africa, so I do like that. But actually, I've introduced quite a few people to rooibos now. So I'll have rooibos, and then I'll choose when I'm going to have my coffee. And I'll probably max have 2 a day now. And actually, I've noticed that I'm enjoying them more. It smells good, because I'm really savouring it rather than, oh, well, I'm not drinking half of it. It's gone cold. I'm really savouring it. So I'll have like 1 a day, and I'll kind of choose when I'm having that. And it's usually if I've got something big to do, like if I've got a piece of writing I've got to sit down and do. So I know I've got it and it's a treat, rather than, like I say, wasting them before, because I'd be like, oh, it's another one, it's gone cold, or I'll get another one, and it's a never ending supply. Whereas now it's a treat, and actually I'll have rooibos, or I'll have one of the pucker teas. And I'm not massive into flavored or herbal teas, but I found that either just throw mint in a cup, which grows like wildfire. If you've ever, if anybody's got any in their garden, that grows like wildfire, so you've always got some of that if you have it. Or kind of pucker teas, I like them because they don't have the aftertaste. I always find that some of them have a rubber aftertaste. And if I am feeling like a little bit tired or lethargic, I'll pop a bit of honey in my rooibos as well, which I feel is better than tea, but it might not necessarily. You might tell me different. It's better, I feel honey's better than sugar, but it might not be. You can tell me that.
It is absolutely. It is better than sugar, I would say. And I mean, it's got a slower release mechanism than sugar. If you can avoid it, I would say avoid it. But the rooibos is definitely a good alternative. And one of the other things that just is occurring to me as we're chatting is, try and have it. So definitely keep that treat. I do the same thing. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I love tea. And, I used to have that automatic reaction of get up, come downstairs, the house is quiet, everyone's still in bed, make myself a cup of tea. But now I have hot water with lemon, but again, herbal tea. But then I save my tea that I enjoy for sort of 11 o'clock in the morning. And I sit down and enjoy it, and then trying to reduce anything after 1 o'clock, because after 1 o'clock in the day, that's really going to affect your sleep cycle. So yes, have your afternoon cup of tea, but maybe think about a decaffeinated version. So other than your rooibos, I also like Clipper organic teas. And they're not much more expensive than your Twinings or your PG or whatever, but they are, there's no chemical processing, and they don't taste any different to whether they're caffeinated or decaffeinated. So just think about that after the 1 o'clock, trying to reduce the amount of caffeine that you're taking in and really savor it. Sit down and enjoy it at a time, perhaps when everyone's doing something, and you can sit down and enjoy your tea or your coffee in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, savor that 5 minutes. So that's really cool. So we've talked about kind of snacks for us as adults, and choosing those wisely. We've talked about, that what we do is like reach for tea and coffee automatic without even thinking, maybe being more mindful about what we're choosing and when we're choosing it. So what's your other top tip?
So my other top tip is think about self-care and looking after yourself. And one of the main minerals that gets depleted very, very quickly during stress is magnesium. Magnesium is available in dark chocolate, but it's also available in what you might know as Epsom salts. And those are really cheap and really easy to get hold of. You can get them on Amazon, or you can get them in the supermarket. But my tip is to make time for yourself and to have a bath, and to put in that bath 2 cups of Epsom salts. Close the door and make it reasonably warm, and just soak for 20 minutes in your bath with your Epsom salts. And that way your body will absorb the magnesium. So actually your body absorbs it through the skin. And the skin is one of the biggest organs in the body. So you've got the biggest surface area to absorb all the magnesium, take it, as well as being super relaxing and really nice, just closing the door, having the bathroom to yourself, but also just absorbing that magnesium that will do that stress response a load of good and give your body the nutrients that it needs. So you might want to have a glass of water with you in the bathroom. Some people find that easier because you get a little bit dehydrated. And some people find they need to rinse it off afterwards just to prevent any kind of itchiness, or particularly if you get eczema or scratchy skin. But it's a really good way of giving yourself a little bit of me time and to get the nutrients into your body that you need to cope with the stress response that is just fizzling away at the moment, for all of us. So that is my super top tip. Try and build it into your week. Think about what days you're going to do it. Sunday night, great night. Maybe Wednesday night in the middle of the week when you're just like, oh God, we've still got another 2 days to go or whatever. And then one other night. So try and do that 3 times a week. And it's super easy, super quick, well, not quick, but really cheap and really easy to do.
And I think, and I might be wrong in this. My understanding is that we used to get a lot of magnesium in our diet, but as kind of the soil, as our natural soil is being depleted, we're not getting magnesium in the likes of potatoes and things that, might have had those nutrients in. And so this is a really good, easy, cheap way of kind of getting a flood of magnesium, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally right. So a lot of our vegetables and fruits don't have particularly those grown underground, don't have the nutrients in, as you say, quite rightly, the soil is very depleted in magnesium now. So this is a really easy way to do it and to get that back in. So your dark chocolate and your nuts and seeds are another way of keeping your magnesium levels up. But it's amazing how quickly that is depleted by stress or by other medications that you can be on. It's one of the first nutrients that we look at trying to increase because it's just so important for that stress response.
Brilliant. They were amazing tips, Virginia. Really loved them. And hopefully for you guys out there that are, homeschooling at the minute, of struggling with just trying to juggle, keeping all those balls in the air, hopefully you can just start with one of these tips and then introduce another and then another. And hopefully this will make a really big difference for you. So I'm going to drop all the links underneath so you can contact Virginia your preferred way, whether that's via social media or email. I'll drop them in the group. And if you've got any questions, please feel free, comment. We'll both keep our eye on the comments. And, Virginia will be happy to answer anything at all. So take care, everyone. Look after yourselves. Enjoy that lovely hot bath. Run out and get yourself some Epsom salts. Thanks very much, Virginia.
Pleasure. Speak soon.
Bye.